for this evening?
Very moving evening. I've never seen him speak so eloquently anywhere like this before, so it was great to be here and hear those stories, and he's got to be one of our most recognised and important human rights campaigners. It's just so good to have him here.
So what do you think about him coming to the island then?
Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I didn't make the very first Isle of Wight Pride, but I went to the one last year, which was excellent. And hopefully with him coming and more people getting involved, maybe more people will come to this year's Pride.
Excellent, thank you. And do you know anything about Out on the Island project in general? Have you been involved?
Just heard about it this evening, so wish all the best with it, and I hope it registers all the great history and some of the sad history that people have endured by living on the Isle of Wight, and hopefully things will get a bit better.
I thought it was wonderful. I'd have to say not exactly what I expected, because I just think Peter is absolutely amazing. I'd say age as I am, and I'm so inspired that at 15 he was able to be so sure about fighting everything and knowing the direction that his life was going to take. And he talks about it as if it's just nothing, and it's truly wonderful. And it's been a lovely evening, beautiful format, very informal, everybody felt able to engage, and it's going to make me cry. It's wonderful. Thank you.
And I thought it'd be quite interesting. To be honest, I've never heard of this gent before, but I found the talk really inspirational. And actually, I'd want to go back and find out a little bit more about it. And I put on my feedback that actually I've got a few friends that I thought would have found it really interesting, and kind of wish I'd brought them along. But you know, if he comes over again, then I'd really like to come again and definitely be talking about it. So I found it really interesting and fascinating to hear some of the stories which you just can't believe like happened. So yeah.
Because I'm 71, so I remember way back the things that Peter Tatchell is talking about, and I remember Peter Tatchell from many years ago, and we were talking about the fact that it's so good that younger people should come and see this, and that he is appearing. Maybe there aren't as many younger people there, but I suppose there are, because it's hard to comprehend now, even though things still need to change an awful lot more, that how different it was and how horrendous it was for many people in many different ways, and that includes the Black Civil Rights Movement as well, and the position of women. I can remember I had to get my husband's permission for some things when I first got married many years ago. I mean, it's not the same thing, but it's all relative and it's all political.
And really interesting, and that montage at the end, actually really moving, I thought, like the music and just seeing all those different pictures of, and all the places that he's been, and all those little things that maybe you think in your head but you haven't had a chance to get out there and say those things. It sort of does make you think, I need to make a bit more of a stand with some stuff. So I found it really, really interesting.
And that realisation that one person can do.
Yeah, and it's like you don't necessarily need one person to do loads of things. You need everyone to do little things to make a big impact. So yeah, it's really good.
Honoured and feel incredibly privileged to be part of this British and global movement for LGBT+ rights, and indeed for other human rights, because whatever the campaign for black and ethnic minority people, for women, for disabled people and others, I've supported every single campaign going for the last 53 years. Because to me, these aren't separate issues. They are separate at one level, but they're all about the dignity, respect and rights of human beings. And whoever people are, they deserve
about the human rights kind of thing, I was just saying to that lady, when you have, like me, lifelong mental health issues, you have severe discrimination in a similar way, because it's something, it's who you are, not because you've done anything wrong, it's who you are. And I've missed out on so many jobs, and I've had people actually say to me, you were the best candidate, but because we can't take a chance with you, and you see, I'm just so passionate about young people now, and not being discriminated. When I was younger, there was, like Peter said, he had nothing and nobody. It really struck a chord. I had nothing at university now, all the young people have support that I had nothing, but I had to take a year off, but eventually got my degree. I just find it so inspirational tonight. So much of what he said struck a chord, and I think it's human rights, whatever, when you're discriminated against who you are, you've done nothing wrong, it's who you are, and that is amazing. People I know, like me, because almost by definition never have a voice. So many I know people like me, have been ditched by psychiatric services at my age and dumped back on the GPs, the poor GPs. They don't know, the complexities of major mental illness. And people, they haven't got a voice. They're on the streets. People I know are on the streets or in homes. They've got degrees and that. Sorry for going on.
No, that's good. So you've enjoyed hearing somebody.
It's just saying, how much I empathise. I empathise so much, with people who have been discriminated against and, ridiculed, criticised, oppressed. I just empathise so much.
Thank you. That's lovely. Thanks ever so much.
Sorry for going on.
No, that was perfect. Thank you. That was very good indeed.
I kind of came here as a journalist.
Ah, right. Okay. And what did you think of the talk?
I don't know. I mean, I already knew a lot about Peter Tatchell, so I suppose he kind of said the kind of thing I'd expect him to say.
Were you surprised to see him on the island, or?
Well, he was in Pride in I've forgotten when, but he was in Pride this year, wasn't he? So I saw him there. So I wasn't particularly surprised.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Personally, I found some parts of it quite emotional and powerful, particularly when he was talking about the first Pride March, when it was a surprise to hear the third of the public being on the site in 1972, and that part made me cry, because I think it's also about family and coming home and being part of a wider society, and the fact that in 1972 people were still recognising humanity, and it still seems very close to how we are today on the Isle of Wight in terms of things being partly backward. There's still violence and there is still things being thrown. So it's that juxtaposition, isn't it? It's not completely normal. I don't know whether it ever will be completely normal in our lifetime, but it's both very positive but still very emotional and still quite sad, really. And it's I think I'm just struck by how much the past resonates with now. But I mean, I'm very grateful, and I just have to say thank you for the Foundation's work. And yes, this is life to be part of a legacy of trauma for a gay person, anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say, have you had an involvement with Out on the Island?
Yes. I was very moved by Out on the Island because I grew up on the Isle of Wight, and I took part in the oral histories interviews. I wanted to do that because people in the older generation that couldn't claim their history, like the social contribution and economic contributions to the island, and I interviewed a lot of trans people that have come to the island. So it was that was a privilege, actually, to hear people's very intimate and personal statements about that. And also I worked recently for Breakout Youth on the Isle of Wight for the younger LGBT, and I tried to link the LGBTQ history with the Breakout Youth project, but it wasn't taking up because Breakout Youth is closing. But just as I've experienced it today, it was really good for the young people from 11 to hear the island has like 17 or 24 different heritage sites, and for a young person knowing like a connection with all areas of industry, the sailing community and people that have contributed was just I thought would be like a very life-affirming thing to know that this very small island, which is quite eccentric in many ways, where we can be a bit backward in terms of our emotional and opportunities to develop, to link all that hidden history that had never been talked about. And I hope I hope they get to receive it as explicitly as I've received Peter this evening.
I knew of Peter Tatchell. I remember him like back when I was a teenager, kind of getting into the news for seemed like all the wrong reasons, but that was obviously how the tabloids were portraying him. Now I look at him today and I think absolute bloody legend, and we can all learn, as activists, we can all learn from him. And I think it's about being kinder, actually. So yeah, I'm in awe of him, actually. I really am. Blown away. So yeah, that's it.
About tonight's event.
I thought it was great. I really loved the talk about Peter Tatchell and all the history. I didn't know half of that, so yeah, I did know some of it. I hope you're going to watch the music, because I'm going to be doing a set and I've picked some nice songs, so hopefully add to the nice evening. That's how I do my protesting, by the way. It's by music.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's lovely.
When we danced, I held her tight, so I whispered, I love you. And she said that she'd love me too, and so I kissed her. Oh my God.
It's great that somebody so prominent as Peter Tatchell has come to the island. It sometimes feels as if people have to go to the mainland for these things, so it's great that people are coming to us.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know anything about Out on an Island?
I do. I kind of follow it on Facebook. I've met Caroline, and I'm kind of paying attention to it. I come from Liverpool, and there was a similar thing happening there about 10 years ago, and a community of people got together to film people's histories, and that was great to see some of my friends and peers being recorded and talking about things and people and places that I remember growing up. So I'd be excited to see the fruits of what Out on an Island can put together.
Really inspirational to hear how one person can make such a big difference, and bring so many people on board and see so many changes, in one lifetime.
Excellent, thank you. I mean, that's really hit me as well when he was saying about everyone doing their bit. Would you say that's...
Yeah, and then talking about growing up in a period where, homosexuality being illegal, and also culturally in terms of families not accepting it, it makes you realise that generationally, there's a huge divide, isn't there? I mean, you can't really take any of those things for granted.
He's managed to get to people in enormously powerful positions and make big changes happen. I think that's just remarkable. And I think those of us that are wanting to have a big impact on other big issues in our time, we've got a lot to learn.
Excellent, thank you. And have you got anything else to say about Out on the Island, this project? Do you know anything much about it?
I know a bit about Out on the Island. I was never out on the island when I was young because I had no reason to be out. And then when I came back, I was seriously out, and it's been pretty easy, and I feel very privileged to have been able to be here at a time when it was okay, and it was okay to come back with my wife.
He is such an inspirational personality, and what he's achieved and the action that he's affected globally, more people need to be exposed to what he's up to, what he's done, and what he's still campaigning for.
Excellent. And what about the relationship with him coming to the island? Have you got anything to sort of say about that?
Well, that's wonderful that he's got the blue plaque and it was voted for. That makes it even more special. He's such a tireless campaigner, and the power that he can bring to the island, where we've got our burgeoning LGBTQ plus community, is just so positive, and we need to build on that. And we've got Pride coming up in July, 18th of July, and it's just building on that inclusivity and that protest, and to say that love is love, and we should all be free to love whoever we like.
Any involvement with Out on the Island, and if so, what?
I've done some of their media stuff. I think they're an absolutely phenomenal project as well. And once again, it's building on that community and the fact that LGBT history has been sidelined, it hasn't been documented, it's been kept quiet in the dark, and it's It's just saying, we've always been here, we've just had to hide, and we shouldn't have to do that.
I know Peter not very, very well, but I have met him on a few occasions. It's just fantastic to sort of hear him, because he is, without wishing to get too sort of obsequious and creepy, he's just so inspiring to have that courage to keep going, you know, in some of these campaigns that have been so tough and so relentless and just exhausting. And yeah, I think he's a great inspiration. And I was saying to Helen, I first met him in the mid-90s at a TV debate about the gays in the military, because that's my thing. And what impressed me about him, like he's been talking now about supporting the heterosexuals in terms of like the civil partnership thing, which I knew about obviously. He was very, very supportive of gays in the military, even though he didn't understand why anyone might want to be in the military, but he still supported, knowing that if you had the sort of yen to do something and the ability and wanted to do it, you shouldn't be stopped because of your sexuality. It's fantastic when someone knows that they're going to fight. They're going to fight for what they know to be right, even if they don't wholly understand it themselves, but they do understand the principle of what's right. And I think that's what shines through with him and always has. And I think that's brilliant. It really inspires me.